Hey teacher friends, I am so excited that I get to do another video for you. So I thought with implementing our free reading programs that it was really important to do a whole video just on the first week of school and what I do and little tips and strategies I do to build anticipation, excitement, to get the books in the kids' hands, and to eventually then start building that stamina of their reading time. Okay, so I gotta be honest with you though first, is that first impressions are wildly important here. Now, I know everybody subscribes to the old trope of do not judge a book by its cover. Now, metaphorically and figuratively, like that is beautiful, and I do agree with it. But I have a few qualms about it. A, that's not how we actually pick our books. We super judge the cover, and as an adult, I'm like, I like that cover. I'm gonna read that. Okay. 2, as they're walking into your room and as they're listening to you in the first 5, 10, 30 minutes of your day, they are judging you. They are questioning whether or not they should buy what you're selling. They are trying to figure out if, like, you're the real deal. Okay, so honestly, when I'm thinking about my free reading program specifically in the first week, I don't even really have my teacher hat on. I have my saleswoman hat on. How do I get them to buy what I'm selling? Even those super reluctant readers, which we all know we're going to have. So the one thing we need to do as the educator, the professional, the lifelong reader and learner in the room is to really change and disrupt our thinking and thought process on reading, free reading in a classroom, and what that means and what our end goal is. Okay, so when you're thinking about this, your end goal in the back of your head cannot just be test scores. That is not sustainable to you. That, again, is just a box that you want to check off at the end of the day. And this 10, 15, 20 minutes of free reading is so much wildly more important than that. I know that wasn't my perfect grammar, but you get it. So a few things that we need to know that reading is not. Reading is not checking off a box at the end of the day and saying to kids that you have to read this amount of books or texts or whatever it is in this time frame, and if you do not, you do not get a grade. If they hear grade, if they hear have to, number, lofty, you're gonna lose a lot of kids. You're gonna lose those kids who are currently struggling at reading, who have not had good experiences with it. Don't mention that the first week of school. If that is one of the things that you do want kids to read 20 books a year, fine. Don't lead with that. Okay? Reading is also not a punishment. So we all get frustrated. We all lose our cool. We all have those days where it's just put your head down. I need 5 minutes. That's cool. In those moments, reading is not the thing you make them pick up. Because that signals automatically that reading is a punishment. Reading is something I have to do when our class is misbehaved, when, the teacher has to deal with X, Y, and Z. It's not a punishment. And it shouldn't be treated as one. Reading is also not busy work. Reading should be branded and packaged as the most important and most crucial, most sacred part of your ELA block. It should be the cornerstone from which everything builds and grows. So the strategies and the activities that I'm going to talk about today will hopefully help you build that foundation and create this positive atmosphere, this positive talk around reading in your classroom. So I'm super excited. Let's get started. Okay, so it is the first day of school. You have 30 middle school babies walking into your classroom, and you have to somehow get at least the majority of them to be interested in reading. okay? There are some super simple things I do that just like rack up the anticipation points and the excitement points. So the first thing I do is my entire room, just the idea of reading or the idea of the books is just infused into every corner. Okay, so if you've walked into my classroom before, or honestly, if you've walked into a Barnes and Noble before, okay, so if in a normal, like in the stacks of books or in a shelf, like like most of the books are put this way, right? But what I've done, just like Barnes and Noble or any bookstore, is I've taken some books out and I faced them this way. So books that I know are beautiful stories, books that I know are always crowd pleasers, books that are award winners, books that are brand new and look absolutely gorgeous. Like I curate what is out and facing this way for the kids, right? Because like even as an adult, I go into a bookstore and like I'm looking at the end caps. I'm looking at the books faced this way. Like I way more go for the books that are faced out than the books that are like this. So what I use, like you can get like plate stands on Amazon. I had plate stands and they like the books weren't holding very well. But what I figured out held the books better is, you know, like the metal like book ends that a lot of our classrooms have. I don't use those for their actual purpose. I put them like on top of the bookshelves. I put them on my windowsill. I put them on the front of my desk. And I have the books like sitting, like I put like the top of the metal thing here and the books like perfectly sit and face out to the kids. So that's one thing that I do. One thing I've done in the past that I did not do last year is I had collected from my previous group of kids, collected a bunch of note cards that I had kids write book reviews on. And so whatever book I had curated and put out on windowsill or top of bookshelf, I had also included a book rating card, which again, you could totally do as a teacher if you don't have previous cards from other students. At a real bookstore, like I stand there and I read those, right? Because I am trusting those librarians or the people that work in the bookstore to know what they're talking about, right? And if you can start collecting book reviews from other kids, like, yes, like they want to listen to me and they want my recommendations, but their peers or older peers or kids that they knew were in my class last year that they like kind of looked up to, like that is what's going to get a kid to read a book. Other kids, other older kids, modeling that for them. So that's something that I do. Something that I also do that is super fun is on the like marker tray on your front board, I also pick 5 to 7 fantastic crowd-pleasing books or new books, award-winning books, whatever, and I put them all along the marker tray. What I also do is next to every single book on there is I take a mailing envelope and I tape the envelope open to the whiteboard. What the kids can do within that first day, if kids are following my behavior expectations, raising their hand, volunteering for certain activities that we're doing, whatever I deem to be appropriate or positive behavior on the first day, I'll give a ticket. This is the only day I give tickets, just so you know. Okay, so like I gave them a ticket. And what I told them they could do with the ticket is any tickets they get, they can put their name on it and they can place their name in the envelope next to one of the books on the front tray. I tell them that night I'm going to pull one name from each envelope and then that student will like win that book. So I am associating positive behavior, volunteering, being brave, like whatever it is, with reading. Instead of giving candy or snacks or a clip up, I'm associating those positive traits or behaviors with reading. Okay? And it also just, again, puts the books at the forefront of the room. Like, they are being showcased. And that is like where I'm typically talking from. So whenever I'm talking, like, they're also like getting glimpses of those novels. And on top of it, like, kids just like to win stuff. And like, they might stumble into this fantastic book, even if they like were kind of just like, I just kind of want to win. That's fine. I'm into it. Okay. So that's super fun. The kids love it. What I'll also do, especially with the 5 or 7 books on the marker tray, not all 30 kids are going to have time to go and look or read the back of those novels. So I have to somehow promote these books like through me. So what I'll do sporadically throughout the hour is I will do book talks on each of these books. Now, book talks can also be used as student projects. Book talks can also like be used throughout the entire school year. They're fantastic to just promote new, interesting books to the kids. So I'm going to do a book talk for you. All right, I have to talk to you guys about this book titled Ghost, written by Jason Reynolds. Now, Jason Reynolds has a lot of other books. So if you've read All American Boys or As Brave as Me, like, then this is the book for you. Okay. I'll also tell you that it is part of a series. There's 3 more books, I think. And every student who has read this first one has like begged and pleaded to read the other one. So this book is awesome if you want to like follow a longer story. All right. So Ghost is about a 13-year-old boy who has a rough family life. Right at the beginning, it talks about how he only lives with mom. But in the beginning, he does this flashback to when dad was still around, and this really scary and intense situation happens with the dad that forces the mom and Ghost to run away. Okay, so Ghost describes himself as somebody who's been running almost his entire life. Okay, he also describes himself as somebody who gets in trouble a lot at school. Okay, so he gets suspended, he gets into fights, he falls asleep in class, like he doesn't get very good grades. But then one day he's walking around the neighborhood and he stumbles upon a track team practice. And he starts watching and he's seeing these kids like working out and running super fast. And he thinks to myself, I've been running my entire life. I'm super fast. I'm going to prove that these kids on this track team, like, they ain't nothing. So he basically hijacks this track practice and races this like kid who's like on this professional track team, races in like his jeans and normal clothes and beats him. So then this whole book is Ghost's journey on like getting onto this track team and trying to figure out how to manage all the things he has going on in his life. So if you like realistic stories, if you like funny stories, if you like stories where kids are interacting with a bunch of people their age and learning new things and making mistakes, then this is the book for you guys. So again, Ghost by Jason Reynolds. Check it out. So that was an example of a book talk. So again, I will utilize those in the first day for sure to promote the books that are up on the front tray. I will also use them throughout the school year, either just as me promoting certain books, like maybe once or twice a week, or I can start using that as a student project. Maybe as they finish their independent reading novels, they have to do 1 book talk a trimester. I don't know. I just made that up. So that's totally your choice. The next thing that I'll do is I've seen a lot of teachers package it as like First Chapter Friday. So the spirit of First Chapter Friday is that the teacher will pick a book that they know that in the first few pages or the first chapter is a page turner, really exciting, that like will draw a reader in super, super quick. the teacher will read those pages out loud to the entire class with, no assignment for it, no expectations, like no quiz. Just simply reading out loud to the kids. Now, I know that some teachers might be like, reading out loud to middle schoolers? Audible is like $1 million billion business. Like, adults listen to audiobooks and podcasts for a reason, because like it just feels good and soothing to be read to. So like, these middle schoolers are not too old to be read to. Okay, so I am probably thinking about maybe doing it like once a week, maybe not a whole chapter, but maybe like 2 or 3 pages, like last 5 minutes of Friday class, something like that. So what I'm definitely going to do on my first day of school, though, is with one of the books that I have to raffle off, I am in the last 5 or 10 minutes of my class, I'm going to teach the expectations of what the kids should do during, like, if I read out loud to them. Okay? So I'm going to teach those expectations. I'm going to read the first few pages of one of these books. And as I'm reading it, I'm walking around, I'm giving out more of those raffle tickets when I see like the behavior expectations that I wanted for this read aloud. That's going to do a few things. I am inadvertently teaching them what it's like to have an adult read out loud to them and what I want it to look like. Okay, so I'm promoting, again, positive behavior is associated with reading. What I'm also doing is, if I've picked the right book, I'm getting at least a group of kids, hopefully at least 10, like wanting to read the rest of it. So that's super fun. So you could either use that just in the first week, you could use it as a weekly thing, whatever. That's totally on you. One of the other really simple ways that I infuse reading into the positive culture in my room is I utilize my bulletin boards. So one of my bulletin boards it's titled Class Faves, or you can title like Goodreads or whatever you want. But all I did was print off the pictures of the covers of the books that I know kids have loved, that as a class we've like passed them around and we all like ended up eventually reading it and just like being obsessed with it as a group. So I put those up there on purpose. So if kids are needing a really quick reference, like what is just a crowd pleaser, like that's up there. What I also put underneath those book covers is a little space that says Miss F's current read, and I put the cover of the book that I'm currently reading up there. So again, references, and that always does spark conversation between me and certain kids who are curious. Another thing I've seen a lot of teachers do is with another bulletin board, if you just go on Pinterest and you type in reading graffiti wall, is kids can, like when they stumble upon a fantastic, powerful, meaningful, scary, stressful, whatever quote, they can go and write that quote like on this graffiti wall. So that also does take some teaching though, on like what is a powerful quote, what is meaningful, because a powerful quote isn't just your character said hey, right? So like giving them examples of what that looks like and filling some out on your own, like as you're reading in front of the kids. So it creates more community around it. What you could also do, back to the book cover board with the pictures, you could, like, I don't know, once a week, once a month, whatever, have certain kids who have finished certain books, like let them curate some of the books that are posted to that bulletin board. Like, that would be super fun for some of the kids to do, like this interactive board that they know. They can also, I'm like literally making up this idea as I'm talking to you. But what you could also do is, if you allow certain kids to curate that board, is it could be kind of like a project, but they have to include like a book review card. So that to them would just seem really exciting, that they get to put something on Like not just like the student work board, but like a teacher board. Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, now that we've covered some things that you can do for anticipation, let's talk about getting the books into the kids' hands. Okay, Donna Lynn Miller, pretty sure she called it this, Donna Lynn Miller, my best friend, calls this the book frenzy. And that's exactly what it is. It's a freaking frenzy. Okay, so I need everyone to take a deep breath. We need to mentally and emotionally prepare for this day to be a hot mess. Okay, so I come in early. I have 7 pods in my room, and I take my books off the very organized shelves and I strewn them across the kids' tables. I'm talking like 15 to 20 books on each pod or table, whatever you got. The basic idea is that the kids will go to every table and they will preview, look through the stacks of books at every table. So what they're going to need is that notebook that you set up. So either you're setting it up on that day before the kids get started, or I am going to have my kids set theirs up on the first day of school. Okay, so the only page they're going to need to worry about right now for this is that book to read list, right? So number it 1 through 10. I tell the kids they have to write down at least 10 books. If they want to write down more, then power to them. Their first round of this book frenzy, they are going to preview the books. So they're like shopping, which I teach them specifically how we do this. So, again, here's that old trope of we don't judge a book by its cover. We super do. We super do, okay? So you get to a table with 15 to 20 books within that 5 or 7 minute rotation, like you're not going to have time to really preview all 20 books. So you're picking up a book that you think looks awesome. Okay, so I teach them about the award stickers. I teach them about, so up here, like right above Jason Reynolds' name, it like New York Times best-selling author. So I talk about that and like how weighty that is. Obviously, we read the back cover of the book for a really short summary. I then teach them about, so the majority, most books, good books, will, on the inside cover or in the first few pages, they'll have these reviews. So I teach them about that and like newspapers and book websites that are really good at this, other authors, celebrities, whatever. I then tell them that if it's something they're super interested in at that point, that, still with the back of the book and the awards and stuff like that, that they should go and they should read the first page. So I talk to them about like, okay, if you're reading through this first page and you start numbering on your fingers, if you hit within that first page 5 words that you don't know, that might not be the best book for you. Now, let me stop and like give a disclaimer to my teacher friends here. I really hope that nobody spent their summer lexiling their books. I really hope nobody spent their summer like leveling their books in any way. With this reading program, it's super important that that is not necessarily something that we should teach the kids that they need to look for. It can be really, really discouraging and heartbreaking for kids who are super, super pumped at everything you did the first day, and then you get to this book frenzy and you're like, you're this level, you're this lexile, you're this, you're that, and this is the table you have to read from. No. Like, that's heartbreaking. You just like said how great all these books were, and now they're thinking, oh, I have to read these baby looking books. And I have friends over here who are reading like these amazing books that I want to read that are about kids my age and whatever. It's a really fine line that we have to walk. You know what I mean? So you are going to have kids who, in the beginning, pick up books that are too hard for them. And that's okay. That's okay. I allow it. I allow it. You gotta let the kid figure that out on their own. So, I have scaffolds that I provide. I have an Audible account. I am able to provide the kids with that. If I don't have an Audible for that specific book, but the kid's really wanting to read it, I let them try. Like if you are patient and you let them try it and you let them stumble a little bit, and you describe to them like what reading should feel like when you find that perfect book, like it should be hard to put down. Like just spin it into like you just didn't find the right book for you. Like let me help you. I have all these amazing books, and like make it a positive relationship building moment for you and that kid. Don't make it something where you're mad at them for picking it or you're mad at them because you ditched it. So actually, perfect segue. Let's talk about ditching books, because we ditch books in Francisi's room. Okay? So, what I mean by that is this is also a Donna Lynn Miller rule. As adults, okay, if I get 40 or 50 pages into like, unless it's like, for teaching or education, whatever. If I get into like a free reading book and I'm 40 or 50 pages in, I don't have enough time in my life to be wasting reading a book that is crappy. So I'm not going to read it. And I'm not going to make the kids read it either. I'm just not. So I teach them that ditching books is okay. I give them a page number that they have to read to. And I give them the example that I'm obsessed with Harry Potter, but the Sorcerer's Stone, like, is kind of boring until page, like, 40, maybe even 50. So if I hadn't have, like, pushed through to that 40 or 50 page mark, then, like, my life would be different. Like, my life would be different. Okay? So, like, use examples from your real life when you hated a book and you push through to the 40th page and, like, you just found it and it was fine. So I know what you're probably thinking right now about the ditching books. You're probably like, but what if kids keep ditching books? Then that's when, like, the relationship, the conferencing, the getting to know your kids is key. So let's say I got this kid, Johnny, over here. And since I'm tracking their books and I'm having conversations and I'm paying attention to them and like focusing on them as readers, I notice real quick that Johnny has ditched the past 5 books. That's when I have a conversation with Johnny, who might be a fake reader. Something's clearly going on. So I might use that sheet in my binder to observe Johnny. I'm going to have a private conversation with him. It's like, okay, man, like, what's going on? Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, you've ditched the past 5 books. Like, we can't keep doing this. I'm not doing this all year, man. You got to stick with one. Just have the conversation with the kid. Help them find one. Go to your crowd pleasers. Like, just gotta like start making a mental list of books that it's like, no kid's gonna put this down. Like, have those books in your back pocket for kids like Johnny. Okay? Those kids are actually more rare than you think. I haven't had a lot of them, but some of them will try. So you just gotta kind of call them to the carpet on it, and they pretty much stop doing that. So, disclaimer done. Back to the book frenzy. Okay? So, again, first lap, they're reading the front cover, reading the inside, reading the back, reading potentially the first page, making sure they know the majority of the words. Okay. So then let's say I am super interested in reading Ghost. I write it down on my books to read page. I am going to go to every single table in the room as a student, and then when I get to that last table, then Miss F is going to explain that now we are going to take a second lap. Now, this is going to cause a little bit of drama Not a lot of bit of drama, just like a little bit of drama, okay? Because like the kids are getting pumped now. They have maybe like 1 or 2 books that they're like, I need that book, like I'm going to freak out if I don't get it. I say that we're going to travel in the same direction that we traveled on our first round. You have to go to every single table. You cannot just go from table 1 to table 6 and cross the room. So it was like, it's just the luck of the draw, guys. If you don't get the book, your number 1 pick, then that's why you wrote the list. So I'm just realistic with them. Have your list. Be ready to take your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 10th book. And like, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You have that list, the kids are going to finish it, and you'll have an opportunity to see that book in the future. Okay? They go a second round, 2 or 3 minutes, not even probably like 2 minutes at those tables. And then, you know, kids will start, I tell them, like, if you grab a book, then go, like, if you have the book you are picking, then go to your seat. So then by the kids will dwindle, right? So you have 1 or 2 kids lingering. Book frenzy done. Messy, but done. Okay, so now is the first time these kids are actually going to read in your classroom, okay? A lot has built up to this moment. So what you need to do is talk to them really quickly about stamina, okay? Stamina is the same as like if I insanely decided to run a marathon and I tell them, Miss F does not work out. She works out like maybe once a year, okay? So if I decided to run a marathon, should I like go outside and run 20 miles having worked out only once that calendar year? No, I'm gonna need to start at 1 mile and build up from there slowly. Like if I start at 15 miles, like I'm gonna be walking around like a Disney witch. Like it's not gonna be cute, right? So I then relate that to reading. We need to start at 5 minutes and build from there, okay? Then I reference really quickly the beautiful anchor charts that you already have set up, right? So I take my book and I'm like, all right, guys, so this is what reading looks like. You sit wherever you want. Those of you just starting out, maybe seating charts first. But you sit however you want in your chair, right? Comfortably. You open your book. You start to read. This is what quiet looks like. This is what quiet doesn't look like. I get kind of goofy with it, right? Talk to them about the tracking of their eyes. So like I lay out what it looks like and sounds like, and I'm physically modeling good reading behaviors and bad reading behaviors. The kids will giggle. Like really do the bad ones, like be dramatic. It's funny, okay? Set a timer. Right? Have some ambiance if you do like really light piano music, or I go and I just get like nature sounds on YouTube or like a fireplace on YouTube, like set the ambiance, right? Like make it an experience, okay? They read for 5 minutes. Most important thing, okay? A lot went down my first year of teaching, but the one thing I stumbled across was this gold mine of magic, okay? My classroom like took this crazy reading like roller coaster, and it was all an accident. Like one day I just picked up a book and I sat down and I read Harry Potter in front of them. I just read. And they slowly started being like, what are you doing? I'm reading. What are you doing? Should we read? That'd be nice. And they like slowly started picking up the books, right? And they slowly started asking me what I was reading and get very interested. And then all of a sudden, like 8 to 15 kids in my room are wanting to read Harry Potter. The most powerful thing I did was sit down with a book in front of those amazing and crazy children and really read. Really read and really enjoy it. So your most important thing you do here is show them what a reader looks like. Show them that it's important. Show them that it's fun. Show them that it's calming, right? So like, I know you're thinking about classroom management at this point, but there are ways to read. I walk around my classroom with my book and I read. And if I'm needing to correct kids, that first day of reading, you're not going to need to correct many kids. Promise you. 5 minutes is easy, okay? And if you're needing to correct kids, I keep it as silent and as quiet as possible. I'm just like... So then every day from there on out, you, from that 5 minutes, like slowly notch it up. And you totally base it like off the feelings that you get from the kids. 5 minutes is very, very short. Your kids are going to want to read more. They're going to want to read more. Like, if you do this right and you like bring that excitement and that energy into it and you do everything you can to like make this an experience for them, like they're going to want to read more. So yeah. And what I will tell you, the most important thing is to always keep that time sacred. So crazy things happen in our days. Things don't work out. We have to chop things out, right? We have to move quickly. Like, things happen. I will chop other things out. I will make amendments to my class hour. And the one thing I will not compromise or take out or ever chop is that reading time. The very few times that I have been like, guys, like, can I take 5 minutes off the timer? Like, I'm freaking, I'm stressing right now, guys. We have a lot to do. Those very few times that I've tried to do that, even my like rowdiest group of kids will get very, very upset with me. They will. So those rowdy classes, like, this is possible. This is possible. And it's not going to be perfect at first. It's not. So I want you to go in with, this might be rocky at first. It might. And it's going to take me coming in every single day and just recommitting to this idea that this is worth my time. This is worth my energy. And in the long run, this is the best thing we can do for these kids. It is possible. It is so, so possible to make this a cornerstone and your kids' favorite time of the day, despite how insane a block might be. I promise. So, thank you for joining me for our second video for free reading. The next one will be about conferencing. So look ahead for that one. You know where to find me. You know how to contact me. So let me know. I'm here to help you. Bye, teacher friends.